Pike's pushed Morton forward up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's touched on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Coming down.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's still such up. He's touched on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Hello everybody and welcome to the NASCAR Super Series here live from Talladega SuperSpeedway. It's time for the 5th round of our championship. Originally supposed to be round 6. We've had to switch around our final 2 rounds, and our final one, which will be round 5, confusingly, will be at Indianapolis. Maybe in a couple of weeks' time. We'll have confirmation of that in a short while, of course, but this is not the finale that we thought it was going to be. Instead, it's going to be a very important race to set yourself up for those final laps around Indianapolis. My name's Ewan alongside the Biggles once again for this round of the series, and it's good to be back Super Speedway racing again. Not many short tracks here on the calendar this season. Instead, it's all about the wide open Super Speedways. And Daytona kicked off our season. It's time to go racing at Talladega here for round 5.
Absolutely, it's Sweet Home Bama, right? As you'd go. Of course, this fantastic Super Speedway is one of the favourites for many drivers out there. Speaking of which, let's see how they're all panning out in the current standings there.
Yes, let's. Jan Stitchbury is leading the way here with 143 points. He's 23 ahead of Jordan Retzel in second place. Tortulla is in third, not too far away. Sergio de la Cruz is the 4th place driver, and now the only driver, other than those below, who doesn't need to gain any points on Stitchbury today. He could, in theory, lose points to Stitchbury and still be in the conversation for the title in a couple of weeks' time. Jack Werrell is in 5th place ahead of Tim Perry, the last driver to be into 3 figures. It's 99 points for Carl Jackalette with Vigor Olsen there, Alvaro Vasquez Garcia, the Bristol winner, and Kim Andre Björklund, the last driver inside the top 10. Turbo Mel is 11th ahead of Ryan Hyatt, who's shown good speed but bad luck over the course of this season. Paul Clark is 13th ahead of Mikey Pollard, with Paul LeMay another 7 points back, tied with Mark Werrell. Then it's Szabolcs Murny in 17th. David Veg is in 18th, and he's the first driver who mathematically can no longer win the title this season. Nicolo Fornaciari is 19th ahead of Jason Hale, who rounds out the top 20. Kev Eilert is next ahead of Paul Hurley and Mac Barnes, who are tied on 47 points. Kyle Leo Ivanov is 24th ahead of Chris Max Davies, 25th. Then it's Michael LeMay, Robert Woodward, Matt Barnett is on 30 points, down in 28th. James Bird is 29th ahead of Stuart Pearson. Then there's Patrick Seaborn, Peter Balassa, Zoltan Deme and Adri Garcia, who failed to finish at Daytona and unfortunately has no points as a result. So there are your 34 drivers who have taken part here this season. Unfortunately, we're not seeing quite so many here tonight. It's going to be a bit of a smaller pack, and for 45 laps of racing, we've still got 16 drivers, of course, which is a decent number to get, but it might mean a bit of a cleaner race than what we saw at Daytona, which for the second half was a lot of cautions.
Yes, Barney was quite busy on that one, wasn't he? Waving that yellow flag at the moment. Did you actually realise, hello everybody in the chat as well too, say hello, because we were down to about 50 seconds and change off practice before we get into qualifying. You can see these three are actually bump drafting each other at the moment. They're getting a little bit of practice, either as teammates, as friends, allies, as 16 drivers, as you said. So 16 drivers going to take a good opportunity to get a hurl of points here this evening. But are you aware of the whole situation with iRacing? Because I believe that's somebody the other day. The pace car driver is, you got Barney the flag man, right? The pace car driver is another person that's it's all Flintstones characters, I believe. Flintstones.
I've never seen Flintstones, so I don't know.
Oh, that's right. You don't watch television. You can't
No.
remember that. But anybody out in the chat, please let us know, because I believe that's what the references are. I don't know who started all that, sort of who coined those terms, but the driver is somebody else. I don't even know. You don't know the Flintstones, but Barney, of course, is one of the Flintstones characters. But look at these two going for it too for now, my friend. That doesn't really matter. They're in a practice session. You can smash this car to pieces. It'll be all magically repaired in pit road. Ewan, you've had a little bit of a breather and a bit of a break of late. How has everything panned out for you, my friend, in other racing leagues, and what's been happening in your neck of the woods?
It's been all right so far. Everyone's enjoying the introduction of rain, I think, which has been the main talking point, but not something that the NASCAR guys particularly have to worry about, and I don't think they will do for quite some time either, because there's plenty of classes of car that see rain more frequently on the road courses that have yet to receive wet tyres. It'll be a lot longer till these guys see rain, because the only rain race I can remember in living memory my entire life is the Chicago street race that we saw last season. That was 1 year ago. I've been alive for a few more than that. And that's the only one I can remember. Feel free to point out any more. I'm talking about Cup Series races, by the way. I know there's been some others in Xfinity and so on. But Cup Series races, I can only remember one in my lifetime. I think it'll be a while till these guys are experiencing something similar in terms of rain that the road guys have been, and that particularly not just road guys overall, but actually it's sports car guys, although there are a few open wheels as well, who have been enjoying the rain that's been released on iRacing.
Here we go at the moment, and we're going to go on board right now with the 222 machine, and let's see, he's going to put his banking laps in. Of course, it's a lone qualifying session, so they're out there all by myself, like the song, all by myself. Of course, it's Talladega, so it's time to get the pedal to the metal. Talk us through this one.
Well, there isn't a lot to talk through. I think that's the talking point, isn't it? It's staying as close as you can to the double yellow line, although it seems to be just one line on the left-hand side there, and trying to keep yourself as smooth as possible. There is an art to doing it, and as we were talking about before we came to air, there's not much to talk about here, but there's a lot going on inside the car, and it's very important as well, and Ivanov is actually doing a really good job of this, keeping it close to the white line, but be smooth. Don't make any sudden movements with the wheel, although he did slightly do it there, and just shorten the distance as much as you possibly can while keeping the speed up. He clips the apron as well, don't really want to do that either, and it's more about the outlap than anything else when you're riding around the top of the banking to come off the top and begin your lap with the maximum speed possible. It's time to get the first laps on the board. Ivanov goes second behind Paul Clark, who has set the early pace here.
You called it. You see it tighten up in certain of those corners as well too, so it is quite tricky for the drivers to navigate that as best as they possibly can. And he has navigated his well into P3 currently at the moment, you can see for the Triple 2 machine. It's been outdone by Cruz, Tim Perry, and a few of the drivers because they put their laps in, remember. But this is the man to keep an eye on, isn't it? The man leading the championship. Let's see how he navigates his way around good old Talladega.
Yeah, Ewan Stitchbury leading the championship by 23 points, which is actually a pretty big advantage when you think about it, over the line for him, and he goes second. A good time from him. We'll work out what he needs to do to win the championship, but it's not a whole lot. Even if he finishes right at the back today in 16th position, he will only lose 19 points, is that correct? I think so, to the driver in second place, and that's if they win. So he's very much in a position where he could win the championship just when he's completed enough laps at Indianapolis to be classified. Mark Werrell completes his session, fortunately down in last for him, so that will be it. Wonder if Jack Werrell's here today. Doesn't look like it. Only one of the Werrells able to make it on this occasion. And that pretty much looks like qualifying over. All of the laps completed. You only get 2, of course. Pat Seaborn actually is the last driver to complete a lap time here. But other than that, we've got a minute to wait out until the actual race. And it looks like that's pretty much it for qualifying.
Yeah, it's not as exciting, of course, as it is with the road courses and the road leagues and GT3s and all that sort of stuff that we do, because, each driver's got a little bit more time to do those laps in. But this is just a shootout, really. I mean, and it's very, very hard, just to let everybody know out there. We can't really coordinate every driver to go one after the other, after the other, after the other, and then, do the excitement like they do on television. Certainly with NASCAR and certainly with IndyCar. But the drivers get out there, they do the job. Paul Clark is the man that's done the job at the moment, the 24 machine, by 100,000ths of a second, I think, from Stitchbury and Daniel in P3. We'll get those results for you very soon. Not out on tracks, you're not missing any action. Speaking of which, what do you reckon? Get a little bit of butt kicking in there, because feel what you've been missing. We're back in a minute.
Here's the starting grid then for round 5 of the JPB NASCAR Super Series, starting of course with Paul Clark, who will be on the pole position after setting the fastest time around the circuit. It is Jan Stitchbury, championship leader, alongside with Daniel Sedgley, who hasn't competed yet this season, in third. It's another driver who hasn't competed yet this season, David van der Waals, in 4th position. Then it's Paul LeMay and Sergio De La Cruz on row 3, ahead of Tim Perry and Connor Craven, also of Olympus Esports, also not having competed yet this season. Kyle Ivanov is 9th ahead of Kim Andre Bjorklund. It's Fegerdolson Lear in 11th place ahead of Pat Seaborn, who is 12th. Michael LeMay and Turboy Mel are next ahead of Stuart Pearson and Mark Werrell. Worth noting, of course, that a lot of Jan Stitchbury's closest championship rivals are not actually here on this particular day. Jordan Wenzel not here. He's second in the standings. Thor Tuller is third. He's also absent. Jack Werrell, 5th, also absent. Garcia as well. So that's 4 of the top 10, as you can see with those standings there, not here. It's not gonna diminish the challenge that Stitchbury's gonna have in this race, of course, but it may mean that he can seal the championship deal here tonight.
Seal the championship deal. You're a poet, you didn't even know it, but you are. Thomas out there says, let's go the Olympus Trio. You may be able to verify that one. That trio, that's of course this man, Daniel. He's currently in the Olympus Esports motor machine. They're running right up into the power end of it. And of course, if we need to go back to that one, we've got Connor as well too. Hello, Connor. You got some fans out there. Fan boost does give you a little bit of, there's an talk. Exactly. Oh, nothing wrong with fan boost. I like fan boost.
It's not quite Formula E, but yes, it does give you a boost. Yeah, welcome along to Thomas Cope, who is an Olympus eSports driver himself, by the way. Not sure how much over racing Thomas does, but then again, I've never seen Daniel Settley on an oval either, so might just be a bit of a voyage of discovery for everybody. I think that's one of the great things about this series, to be honest, is the fact that it's not an all-American series, and while those are great, and that's where the birth of NASCAR racing was, of course. It's gone around the world these days. People around the world watch it nowadays, and in iRacing you can compete in it too, and it's good to have plenty of Europeans, plenty of non-traditional over racing countries taking part in this series.
Yeah, it was built on bootlegging. Everybody has to remember that one. He's like, I won the Daytona 500. Good on you, my friend. Yeah. But it was all built on bootlegging, of course, when Prohibition was, and there was like, how do we outrun the coppers? Well, beef up your motor vehicles there, load up all that moonshine in the back of your truck there, and yeehaw your way out to, and then sell it later on. So this is where it all started from, but of course these days alcohol is legal. You don't need to outrun the law. You just need to try to outrun that pace car, although I'm going to stick by that pace car. I think they're getting ready there, Ewan.
It looks like it. The pace car will pull off, of course, and then you'll have a long way to wait until you actually get back green here, because don't forget that the finish line and the start line is not quite in the same place as at Daytona. It is just past the tri-oval and onto that short straight towards turn 1. So there's the green flag in hand. The cars aren't even in shot yet. That's how far around the start finish line is. There we are. The cars will now begin in all 8 rows of them. 16 drivers going to take part in round 5 of the JPB NASCAR Super Series. The green flag is waving at Talladega. We're racing for the first time.
Green, 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 green. Barney waves at their Paul Clark leading from Daniel, and Stitchberry on the outside. I think on the inside, tucked up on that at the moment there. They're going to go 2 abreast, as you can here in Talladega. Let's see how they get it all done. Over to you.
Through turn 1 and 2. Are we going to get a clean and green race, or is it going to be a difficult one? Well, unfortunately for those who started on the outside line, they've already been let out to dry a little bit. It's Sergio De La Cruz who's looking to do the pushing of Jan Stitchberry at the moment on the outside. He's leading the line as the championship leader, but to little avail. Paul Clark is getting a much better push by the Olympus liveried cars down on the inside, and so he will lead. Stitchberry now gets back into line, leaving De La Cruz up on the high side, but Stitchberry pulls back in front of him. It's not looking good early on here for the outside line, actually.
Yeah, we're going to go aboard at the moment. I've got the little camera there. I've got my little GoPro camera. Look at this action at the moment. You can see almost all the field here running currently at the moment. Tell me, I can even read what he even has on his steering wheel at the moment there for the 27 machine on the inside. But there it is. All taken easy, the inside apron at the moment is about to form up a little bit at the moment. And there it is, trapped. Oh, there's a little bump draft. Get on with it, he says. Move.
A little bit. It's a very big push down the back straight from Sergio De La Cruz, and it does put Stitchberry into a good place here. He'll get up to 3rd, now round the outside using a bit of side draft, because Van der Waals wasn't quite as close to Sedgley as he probably should have been, so that allows Stitchberry to side draft on the inside line. He slowed the entire line down, and as we come to the start-finish line for the end of lap 2, Jan Stitchberry is going to become our second leader of the day.
Well, he got it all timed at the right place at the right time. At the moment, he's getting a little bit of a push from the 7 machine now, Sergio, who's up 4. That was the drive that we're riding on Mr. Cruz. We're cruising with Mr. Cruz. He's cruising his way at the moment. Paul Clark now putting a challenge on there. You can see all 16 drivers here on lap 3. We've got 43 to go there.
Pulls to the inside line, so he's going to try and moderate this race from the front, I think, although no, he'd rather just stay on the inside entirely, because he's not come up to block Sergio De La Cruz now, who's getting pushed nicely by Connor Craven, another one of the Olympus eSports drivers, and suddenly, after a shaky start, the outside line is having a good time. Craven looks to the inside, which forces De La Cruz to go and defend. Bjorkland follows them as well. Such is the speed of that outside line, so that's 3 leaders in 3 laps.
Yeah, I remember Jacob that I do cast with at the moment in Talladega. I was telling Jacob about this track. He loves it so much. He'll tell you exactly how much grip you're going to get up high. And later on, depends on how much you want to gamble. Because you left high and dry as well, too. You don't do it too early. Towards the end of the race, when there's more grip and traction up there, you will definitely find ways to get the opportunity done, of course. And remember, Ewan, it really comes down to the last 10 laps, isn't it? When you're really going to cross the line first above everybody else. Work together as a team right now, but you become all enemies later on if you want to get the race win.
Absolutely. It's all about keeping friends until it really matters at the pointy end of this race. Well, for the first time, it looks like a leader may well hold on to his lead, although here comes Björklund, still leading the outside line with Chubbo and Mel in the 42 car also behind him. On the outside there is now Biggles and Lear too. They're slowing up with one another really, and you don't want to push through the corner either. Björklund had no choice there almost, and now they're all very close to one another on the outside. The problem with being so far back, I suppose, is it gives you more drivers as an option to pull up in front of you, and so you won't be leading the line any longer. But the inside is the way to be for the moment, and De La Cruz is showing that by leading the field.
The inside line will actually help you a little bit more on your tyres as well. You won't scrub them as much as you keep to that inside yellow line. And just draw those laps out. No doubt pit stops will be required as you're going to burn through that gasoline. You can see a few on the outside there. And that's going to be interesting to see because the outside line will have some serious pace later on in this race. You can see how much it kind of is on that angle. But look at that. So it will come into play a little bit later on, but also remember, you see the rear end slide a little bit there. You get on those marbles, it'll get a little tight and squeezy, but look at the gain already on the outside line.
Now they're starting to get a move on here. Biggles and Lear now will get ahead of Clark, and now he can use the side draft if he wants to, and Stitchbury knows that, because he could have got side draft there, could the championship leader, and so just decides to pull up in front of Olsen Lear and take the outside line. He'll get pushed. Nobody's particularly loose at the moment, so everything's okay in that respect, but you don't ideally want to be pushing through the corners, to be honest. Stitchbury tries to side draft again. It's all well and good doing that to Clark, but pushing Clark is Daniel Sesley on the inside line there, and he's only going to get side drafted by him, is Jan Stitchbury, so you must be careful of that as well. But he's pulled up to the outside. There you go, getting a little bit close now off of turn 2.
I love a bit of beef. I love a bit of driving. So you got to get your elbows out. These trucks are pretty, well, trucks, of course, cars, but they're pretty tough, all right? They can take a bit of a banging, all right? You can take them through the drive-through and scrape the fence a little bit if you have to. They'll be okay. At the end of the day, you can see Stitchbury making his way back up at the moment, and how about La Cruz? He's in the middle here. Where's he going to go? On the inside or the outside? Through abreast there.
Oh, indecisiveness, I'm afraid, from... who was it down the middle there? It's, De La Cruz, who's going backwards quickly and trying to find an opening in either side, but can't do it. The outside powers to the lead. Jan Stitchbury, the new leader of the race, but Sergio De La Cruz will be particularly disappointed with how that all went down, because he went from leader to mid-pack very quickly.
Yeah, and Stitchbury's back on top just like that, isn't it? Yeah, my man that was in P4, P5, leading this race, drop back down. So this is where you need your friends, or you need your predictability, remember. You're talking about drivers traveling at in excess of 200 miles an hour, and all of a sudden you go, oh, do I turn left, do I turn right? Are the Norwegians starting to work together? We do have a ton of Norwegians here. Go ahead.
Whoa, that was so close to an accident. It was Connor Craven trying to use the side draft of Björklund, but it nearly turned into complete disaster.
I love it. I love it. We like action out there, as Thomas said. I'll stick with me in the Porsche Cup. You sure you want to be out here right now, Thomas? Because this looks like a lot of fun.
Exactly. He does do a lot of driving in the Porsche Cup car, but there you go. Clearly not too bad at an oval either. Difference between the Daytona 500, so there you go. But cheering his Olympus Esports teammates on, of which there are a few drivers in right now. I think it's worth a mention, by the way, while we've got a fairly stable lead situation, as stable as you can get at Talladega at the moment, that the Truck Series is going to take over this one when it reaches its conclusion. So make sure you come and join us for the NASCAR Truck Series that we are going to host at the conclusion of this one. You can sign up on the JPB website, or you can get there through the Discord too. And of course, coming not long after that, we've got, or around the same time actually starting, the NASCAR Community Cup, which is full NASCAR 100% races, same rules as the real-life events as well. And so you can join to the end of the series, weekly 100% races with cautions and all the normal NASCAR rules on Saturday evenings as well here on JPB. So plenty of oval racing to come, although I'm told there is one road course on the truck series, much to the argument of James. He didn't want it, but it wasn't his choice in the end. So we've got one road course on the trucks, but mostly oval racing. And if that's your thing, yeah, then you can sign up on the JPB website or indeed on the Discord as well. So much oval racing to come before the end of the year.
I'm enjoying James with like interlagers really than anything. Look at this at the moment. We're going to ride on board the camera that I can flick around anytime I want. You can see the teammates at the moment working together. There's the pink 26 machine. Is he going to get a little tap to the 7? No, he won't. But this man, of course, driving here for the Olympus Esports team. Of course, he's got his teammate up the road there. And they're just cruising on like a little Monday evening drive. We're going to complete themselves another lap. They'll be at about 35 and change to go on this one so far. All green, 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 which I like, Ewan.
Yeah, that's all good news. Around a quarter of the way through already here in the field. And so we're on to get 34 to go now. It's 45 laps around here, of course. This track is a little bit longer, don't forget, than Daytona. It's NASCAR's longest oval at, let me get this right, specifically 2.66 miles or 4.28 kilometres for those of you who work in that
normal system. Yes.
Yes. So just a little bit longer than Daytona. That means a 500-mile race, whereas it is 200 laps at Daytona. It's only 188 around here. So actually, while we've got the same amount of laps around here than we did at Daytona, I think it is fair to say that this race may take slightly longer, although only by a minute or so. So far, we've had a cleaner race than what we got at Daytona, actually, which did have a lot of cautions towards the end. At Daytona, unfortunately, we didn't quite get that so cleanly.
Don't you go jinxing it at the moment. I know at the moment the commentator's curse is powerful. Don't talk to Zach about that. He doesn't believe that. But it is, and these drivers are powerful gladiators making their way around, of course, one of the best tracks on all of super speedways in the United States of America. Stitchbury leads over the two, well, Norwegian drivers running in the 226. 9 positions gained at the moment for that Toyota driver in 226. About to lose it a little bit. Go ahead.
Sorry, that was Olsen Lear going almost straight into the side of Bjorkland, who now abandons Stitchbury. Stitchbury gets down to the low side to pick up the bumping from big old Olsen Lear, but it's going to be Bjorkland who leads at the end of lap 13. Kim-Andre Bjorkland completes 9 passes to the front of the field from qualifying in the 10th position, and it's a good little relationship they've got going on at the moment between Kim-Andre Bjorkland and Shawboy Mel on the outside.
It's the Norwegians working together 1-2 currently at the moment. They are doing a fantastic job now, but does Sergio take a little gamble here and switch it up on the inside of the outside? Go ahead. Does we have
Stitchbury off into the wall, is he? Did he grab the wall there? The championship leader is off and down on the apron. If he avoided the wall, that's remarkable, but I have a feeling that he might well have not. It's, by the way, Michael LeMay, who's off the back of the field. Not entirely sure how he's ended up half a lap down quite so quickly, but I don't think there was an incident. I think he just lost the draft. But that was an incident. I think it was Sergio De La Cruz, who was on the left-hand side of him there, and was possibly below the yellow line when Stitchbury was tipped into a half spin that he has miraculously recovered from.
We'll see if we get a little highlight of the replay of that one a little bit later on, because we have a battle of the Brits at the moment here. 10 positions gained, or 9 or so, between Muckwell and Paul Clark Mister for the iRacing Lounge, of course, which is our sponsors out there. Don't forget the iRacingLounge.co.uk. So give it to that man. They're going for a 2 for now. I'll see if I can find that replay for you there for a second, my friend, because there's a lot of action.
Yep, there certainly is. Yeah, don't forget that this series sponsored by iRoundsRacing.co.uk. Go and check them out. Link is, well, you can type it up, the web address, we just said it, or you can go and find the link if you can't find your keyboard.
Maybe have it here. Maybe have it here.
Here we go. So yeah, this would be a good place to start from. So this is where the two Norwegians of Bjorkland and Mel go through into the lead, and then in about half a lap's time, Stitchbury is going to be tipped into a spin. I think I've wrongly accused Sergio De La Cruz, by the way. I don't think it was him. Now that I'm seeing this replay, I think it's the 226 of Vega.
No, you can't go back in time. This is already what you said. Let's have a look. We're full spinning
I've got
this.
it wrong, though. I'm pretty sure I've got it wrong.
Keep an eye on the 22 machine. That's Stitchbury, right? You can see him in P3 currently at the moment.
Yeah.
And this is what happens.
There's Olsen-Lee. He goes below the yellow line. He tries to come back up again. Stitchbury's there. He tries to give him the room. He does.
Tags him.
And Vega Olsen-Lee keeps coming. Stitchbury has unbelievably kept that out of the wall. That was a great save.
Amazing. Good job on the catch on that one as well, too. That's why we like one of the best, VCO NOMI Award broadcasters and commentators in the world. Right here, live, and now here on the JP Broadcasting Network. Sorry?
I've never been nominated, actually.
I should have nominated. Everybody should nominate me.
I don't get enough. I don't advertise myself, I think, which is the part of the problem. But anyway, there we go. So what this does do is create a bit of a problem for Jan Stitchbury. His nearest two championship leaders are not here, of course, and that leaves Sergio De La Cruz, the closest rival, at 37 points behind. Now, he doesn't need, as I said earlier, doesn't need to gain points today, but mathematically, but does realistically need to gain points today. And if things stay as they are with De La Cruz in third and Stitchbury in 15th, that would gain De La Cruz 12 of those points back again. That would put it down to 25 points by the end of the day, but I think even that is a step too far. Even winning from this position, De La Cruz is going to get back to 20 points behind. That's quite a lot behind. And of course, we haven't factored in the drop weeks either. So Jan Stitchbury is certainly still in the real strong position, but he would have much rather be still in this leading group.
This is the bumper car of 22. So there is Kyle that gets a little bit of a tap there from 78. Gets some extra speed advantage there, a little slipstream, and gets pushed back a little bit. Good awareness for the rest of the drivers as well, too, to catch that one, because it could have easily turned into a first caution, and touch wood is not going to happen, Ewan. Not on our watch. We're going to get green in the end. Trust me. Barney, I went to Barney earlier, actually, up there on the start-finish line, and I said, Barney, hey, come over here, look at this. And while Barney was looking at this, I took the yellow flags away. Barney does not have a yellow flag. It's not going to happen.
Well, we're certainly hoping so. Hoping for some clean and green racing. A bit more side drafting going on there from Pat Seaborn, who started from the back of the field, now up to 4th place for him. I say the back, he was 12th place, not the very, very back, but quite far back. He's on the inside line, trying to follow these guys. What a run for Björklund and Mel, who have really helped each other. Sergio De La Cruz has done so as well. The trio helping each other out at the front of the field, 1, 2 and 3.
He called it, and they are. I mean, you've got the Norwegians at the moment. They're Viking their way into the lead of this race. There you go. I'm going to go that one. Sergio De La Cruz, of course. You have to give it to, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that fantastic 42 machine, 12 positions gained in P2, because I can't get that one. You can. But let's see how the English can do, my friend, because they're being conquered currently at the moment by the Vikings here in Talladega.
They are a little bit. Something else that I noticed, by the way, we're talking about teammates running 1 and 2, and that's obvious to see, but look at the Olympus Esports drivers in the mid part of the field. Daniel Sedgley is just ahead of David van der Waals. Then we've got Connor Craven, and they're all running on the low side in line. Now, I wonder, because this race is 45 laps, normally that is slightly longer than a conventional stint around here at Talladega, but I wonder if they're thinking, if this race goes green, maybe we'll need to save the fuel required to make it to the end without stopping. So I wonder if that's why they're in the midfield, just lifting off and not challenging for the lead as they were in the early point of the race.
You may be very clever on that one. That sounds like good old British strategy, isn't it? Pull that cigar out there and have a brownie and go, oh, we're British. We all know exactly how to hold this one later on, because we're thinking of the long term. We're thinking of 25 laps to go, not 25 laps that we've already conquered currently at the moment. So we'll see as the two Norwegians lead this one. 7 machine there, currently member Sergio De La Cruz, cruising his way up there. And don't forget your British man there from the Pang Remap Racing. And, this is going to be interesting there. And greetings, guys out there from Moorland out there in the chat. We're reading your chat. We're interested and keep chatting to us. We enjoy that here at the JP Broadcasting Network.
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit of a gap there opened up on the inside line, but it's been closed up now by the 222 of Ivanov, who's on the inside all of a sudden. They're not too far away, by the way, from catching Michael LeMay. And that time's at nearly 50 seconds, so they're 3/4 of the way there to catching Michael LeMay and maybe putting the first driver one lap down. But currently got 2 drivers out of the draft. It was a good start for everybody. All 16 got away well. All 16 got into the draft initially, but Michael LeMay fell out of it not long after that. And Jonas Jitsbury fell out of it after a remarkable incident with himself and Vegard Olsen-Lear, who's dropped outside the top 10 only a little bit later on.
Here's Stitchberry right now, sitting
There he is.
all by himself. Exactly.
On his own. So, yeah, good slate for him, but he has lost the draft, and so he will need a caution to get involved in this race.
Well, do not throw your water bottles over the track fence, please, and behave yourselves. Don't go protesting at the tracks like some crazy people have done before in the past. Just let it all go out with 23 to go, which will go pretty quickly. But the pit stops are lurking, aren't they? Have they gassed it up enough?
Well, that's what I mean. Are they lurking or not? That's my question. And I don't really know the answer to it, to be honest with you. As I said earlier, 45 laps is just over a conventional stint at Talladega, but normally the races are 188 laps, as I said earlier on, so it's not really a problem that you can't make 45 laps. You won't be crying about it for sure. You just do the 42 laps, or 40-ish, which makes more sense. Everybody's weaving around, but it's okay. And you just do the 40 laps like everybody else. But since this race actually is 45 laps, you wonder whether people will try and make it.
You got the okay. It's okay there from Ewan. Ewan's like, it's all right. It's okay. Don't worry. Don't panic. Don't panic. Your tyres might be fall off the cliff a little bit. They might not have enough gasoline to see Bun in the end, but it's okay. You should be one of those, we should record your voice and put it in those planes and things like that, isn't it? Pull up, help, you're okay, you're safe. Don't crash. Ewan's here.
Well, yeah, well, let's hope they don't crash here today. A bit of weaving around going on from Ivanov there as he's trying to avoid the side draft, but when you're on the bottom like that, there's not a lot you can do. Seaborn uses it well to just get past him into 4th place, although they're drawing pretty level now. And the outside line struggling to make any headway here, really. There's only 4 of them in the line, and the rest of them are on the inside, completely ruining them. Although, as I seem to keep saying that, the outside makes a bit of a run for it on the outside, on the back straight. So looks like they're not rounding the top 2, but making a bit more headway. Maybe they're just outnumbered, which is the big problem for those on the outside right now.
It's a team game at this point. It's a team game. You see the top 2 working as a team. The rest of the pack there, as we had from somebody shouting out there at the moment. Oh, we got pit stops. Here we go. They've all come in together.
Guys. Wow, so this is interesting. They weren't saving fuel. They were just getting together for the pit stops. Daniel Sedgley was the wildest on the way into pit lane and just about got it stopped in time. David van der Waals next, and then it's Connor Craven in the 3rd position. They got into that line because that's their qualifying order. That makes it easier to spot the pit entry. Now they'll fuel up and they will go together.
Gotta get out.
Says he needs to go, and they're going to leave him behind.
Gotta get out because leaders are coming around, of course. There it is.
Yeah.
So they're on the lead lap.
Sedgley sped on pit lane, so they've got to leave him behind.
Right.
And they've got to work together. It's damage
dear.
limitation for Olympus Esports because Daniel Sedgley has sped on pit lane. Who's going to pit this time? With some aggressive moves to the bottom.
No, they can't go in yet.
Nobody pits this time.
There's too many cars behind them as well, too. It's going to be good indication. This is a good Geico restart zone, to do that again. And sorry about the camera angles on that one. So what's going to be the response? I will show that little track map at the moment so you can see the gaggle of cars. They're just coming out of pit road. They're catching them. Well, obviously, you can see the other way around, the backstretch. You can see this is a plan and strategy for the Olympus Esports team to see what they can do to challenge this strategy so far at the moment.
Yeah, I don't think it's worked though, because Daniel says he sped on pit lane. He was an important part of that, and he's now out the pit lane, but he's going to be at least 1 lap down, maybe more, by the time we get to it. The 2 leaders, by the way, have gotten away humongously now. Is anybody going to follow them and pit, or are they all going to be waiting for the right moment? It seems to have kicked something off in this front group, because Sergio De La Cruz and Ivanov are now leading the way. Bjorklund is trying to join them, but he was the one leading only a few laps ago.
They stayed out. So the Norwegians are now running in P3 and P4. Sergio Cruz, of course, is running in P1. The 222 machine is running in P2. The rest of the field there, we're going to keep an eye. You keep an eye on as well those times that the rest of the field that have gone in and out of pit road are. Here we go. Battles on the field, but 18 to go. Will they go into pit road? They will at some point, but when is the question?
Whoa. Nearly 3 wide there in the battle for 4th position. Turbo and Mel nearly got taken up by, there by Werrell. There's Michael LeMay, who's being lapped now as the second of the lap drivers. He will be the lucky dog if there's a caution, by the way, not Daniel Sesley, which is going to be especially disappointing for the Olympus driver. They look like they're all formed up again, although look at those leading 3. They're working together and they are away.
Yeah, but who's going to box? They're going to be communicating. But I don't know the teammates to communicate. Is Sergio going to tell anybody he's going to go on a pit road right now? He's gone the backstretch, of course. He's got plenty of time. But they are massively charging. But what about those drivers who's come out of pit road? Connor's doing, what, last lap, 50s? Yeah, 50 is actually slower than this leading pack.
Just about. Slower than the front 3, but not slower than that second group for 4th place, which is interesting. So, quite slow, but not slower than the rest of them. Now, do they get organised behind and catch these 3 again? It looks like it. You're never going to get away as a 3 like this. I know the organisation is pretty good, but if those behind get organised, then they can certainly catch it, and that's what's happening here. Pat Seaborn leading that second group back on terms again.
It's going to be interesting between these drivers as well, too. Remember, they're not really teammates necessarily. They're a little bit wiggling at the moment, just get caught into that air draft. On the backstretch, you can see the other cars up the road. They're the ones that took that gamble on a pit stop trying to work together. You mentioned there was a little bit of a mistake with one of the drivers, so they're what, 3 down to 2, essentially. 70 on the outside. And here we go.
This is not good. This is not good working together here, and they need to. Last lap time from Craven was a 50.2. That's bang on with what the leaders were doing, but I think now, with all of the fighting that's going on, some of the speed might go out of this group. They need to work together to push one another so that they don't see Craven and Van der Waals out front on their own. Jan Stichbury's also with them, by the way, so Olympus have been handed a lifeline in some ways with all of that, because they've got Jan Stichbury with them. I think they've caught Daniel Sedley as well. Maybe because he wanted to be caught, they have. So Sedley's been caught. Michael LeMay's in the pit lane, by the way. He's having a pretty difficult day. But Sedley's been caught, so there is actually 4 of them against this pretty disorganised big group.
You called it, I think. I mean, the strategy at play big time. This is when you love green flag racing, I think, at the end of the day, isn't it, Ewan? Because drivers have to throw everything out. If you're gambling on a caution, well, you don't have it. Now you have to gamble on what is going to happen. Are you going to go into pit road at the moment? Do you have enough gasoline to go to the end? How are those tyres filling? Nobody's going in here from the leading pack. Nobody.
No. 5 of them, by the way, on the lap before this one, set either their fastest lap or the fastest lap of the race. That now goes to Tim Perry with a 49.1. That's a very quick lap. Now, that lap was a lot slower, because look at the disorganisation. This is not the quickest way for this group of cars to go around, but you can be absolutely 100% sure that those further behind are doing so. So are they just hoping for a caution here that will save themselves? I mean, I'm not even sure that it will, because Craven and Van der Waals won't have to pit, but these guys all will have to. Or maybe they'll stay out because they know that the fuel saving under caution will be sufficient. We'll wait and see, but so far no green flag pit stops from these leading 11.
But driving so close together to abreast here is also danger, 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 my friend, because there's a good chance that you get caught in that little bit of a wind draft and then big time over. It's going to be, and that what you've got to allow, of course, is the rest of the pack that already did box. They can definitely come back out, of course, box being pit stops. They can come back out and just go waving everybody on by when they go to the pit road. So this is a gamble. 13 to go. Can they go to the end?
I think they better hope they can, because they're being caught by those 4 behind. No ends now. Half a second taken on that last lap. The gap now at 35 seconds. You can if you just follow that gap from Craven to the leader. We've got the gaps to the leader on, and it's very helpful to see where those guys are in comparison to these at the actual front of the field. It was 35 seconds when I started making that point. It's now down to 34.8. It's coming down. So I think these guys better hope for a caution out front, because otherwise they are going to be overtaken, and Craven and Van der Waals might be able to fight it out between themselves, bizarrely.
stay out again and again and again. You can see now on the backstretch. So we're talking about this other crew, right? They've already boxed. So there's Connor. There they are. See, they're towing each other along perfectly, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are working together as teammates, which is what teammates should do. Nothing happens too much in Formula 1 these days, of course, because nobody wants to be like that in Formula 1. But they're cruising! Absolutely! And here our leader's about to complete another lap.
And look how tight that group of 4 was as well. Not like these guys. Look at the big gaps here. And when you can see big gaps in the group, I know it's dangerous, especially when there's such a big group and you're going too wide. You don't really want really tight gaps all the time because it is quite dangerous. But if you're trying to go for speed, you need the gaps to be tight. Any air is no good. And you can see that with the outside line. Look at how tight those two are. And Paul Clark's just been pushed to the lead as a result. So what they need to do is keep Seaborn like that, but also get Bjorklund tight in. Get Biggles and Lear to be there as well, as Turbo and Mel as well maybe. Just get a little bit tighter and then the whole group will go quicker if they're a little bit more organised. They are at least single file again now.
I think they're gambling with just the flag. They're gambling at 11 to go right now. You're thinking, can I get to the end? Can I go to the end? Look at the pack, of course. The other pack. So they are I mean, looking pretty strong at the moment. If you go back, of course, to Connor, here they are. Connor, you can look at that. About to take into turn 1, right? About to take into turn 1. We're looking at our leaders at the moment, about to exit. They're in. Somebody's in.
Oh, multiple. And surely Seaborn's going to speed. Oh, my goodness. It's chaos on pit lane. Someone's gone around. It's Paul LeMay who's gone for a spin, I'm afraid, in the 27 car. Yep. He will not catch the draft. He will be out of things. It's Paul Clark who's there on his own. Evanoff and Pearson have also stayed out as they all try and find their pit box here. Don't overshoot. You'll need the draft. You'll need each other. On the exit of pit lane here with 10 to go at Talladega.
All coming in at once. It was going to cause that sort of drama, wasn't it? Who's going to come out first? Will it be Tim? Will it be Pat? There they are. Tim may have got it. But where is the rest of the field? Where are they? Here they come. The driver said, no, here's Pat that's come already around there before.
Where are the Olympus guys?
The Olympus guys.
They're already going.
Oh, wow. Zooming on by. Thank you very much. We'll take that one any day of the week.
Olympus Esports all of a sudden have a huge chance to win this race 1-2 because Sedgley has already pitted. He will be there to help them even after Jan Stichbury has been in for his stop. And now they begin to fight with one another. And Connor Craven is under pressure from David van der Velde. Surely these guys have got to wait a little bit longer before fighting.
9 to go. We still have 2 drivers who haven't gone down there. We have Carl all the way up the road here. He's got a little push there from Stewart. Paul's in the pit road, big time trouble. But this man leading this race at the moment, Connor Craven for the Olympus Esports. Has that gamble paid off? I don't know. We'll find out, won't we? 9 to go.
This is fantastic stuff. Leading the front group then, or what will become the front group will be Connor Craven, then David van der Velde. Jan Stichbury will pit. Pat Seaborn is leading the second group, although that's only with Tim Perry. Those two are actually out front compared to the rest. We've got Mark Werrell, who's at the front of another group, about a second and a half behind that one. Then it's Sergio Dela Cruz with him, Andre Bjorklund and Biggles and Lear as well. We've got Paul Clark, who stayed out for one lap too long and has lost the draft. Paul LeMay and Turbo Mel have both had problems on pit lane, and so they are in their own group, quite a long way off the back of the rest. More pit stops. Pat Seaborn is in. Jan Stichbury as well. Ivanov as well from that leading group. Pearson stays out. If he's saved enough fuel for this, then it will be an absolute miracle. But if not, then he'll be coming in and ceding that lead very shortly. There is Pearson.
He's by himself. He has to go in. He has no chance. Here it is. The top 3, my friend. The ones that gambled.
The top 2 and Sedgley, who's not actually with these guys, remember, but instead he's a lap down after speeding on pit lane. That's how he's with these guys and helping them along.
You called it. And now all they have to call is 8 more laps of Barney waving the flag. They should be good to go in this one.
Wow, what an amazing race we have seen here today. Leo Ivanov, I think, is going to be caught here and lapped in a few moments' time. In fact, a few more are going to be lapped from him out there on the circuit. It is going to be Michael LeMay actually who's lapped first, then Ivanov. But they could join in on the group. How's that going to affect them? Can the guys further behind get organised? Mark Werrell is leading that second group, and there's a bit of weaving around going on here at LeMay and Ivanov getting themselves out of the way. So they won't get involved here at all.
Look at this pack racing. This is fantastic, isn't it? They did this, remember, we didn't show the cameras, of course, because we're looking at the top field. But they did this for many laps. You called that one, didn't you? And you knew that they were doing this constantly. They were putting the lap times in. They were pushing each other, working together as teammates. Now, what I'm more curious about, my friend, is that who wants to take it between these drivers? Who wants to get it done? Because, you know, push comes to shove, my friend, 6 to go. That's when your friends become mortal enemies.
Exactly. That's going to be interesting. By the way, they are being caught by those behind. A 49.7 on that last lap from Craven and DeVars. A 49.5 from those behind. So they are organised. It's Tim Perry's no longer with them, by the way. I'm not sure how he's lost the draft, but he has. Mark Werrell's at the front of that second group with
there's Mark.
Cruz. Then Kim Andre Björklund and Vegard Osenlier as well. So there's the four of them. They're a lot more organised, and if they are, of course, then they will always beat the three. But there's surely not enough laps left to actually catch.
Well, it's tyres. They got 10 lap pressure, boots and gas. That's the key. So that'll come into their play, and they're really... I mean, these drivers at the moment are counting down those laps. They want them to count down 4, 3, 2, 1. Bingo, got the job done. These are the drivers who are going, please slow it down, please slow it down. Mark's like, please slow it down. And they all have to work together here at the moment. They have to work together. They cannot be non-teammates. You are all of a sudden, you've just everybody on this track is your teammate. And these three, well, they're all aware of their teammates, aren't they? 8 to go, 5 to go.
Yeah, you say that, and I've been saying it all day because they are in the same liveries, of course. But according to our records, David van der Waals is officially entered under Platinum Racing Team, which is not quite the same. I'm going to assume that he is part of Olympus because he's in the same livery look as those around. So the very iconic Olympus liveries that you see on all of their cars, the pink, blue, and yellow.
Yeah, you don't. If you're a Ferrari driver, you don't put Red Bull livery on your car, do you? Come on.
Exactly, and it does say on the back as well. So I'm going to assume that the records, that either he's entered that record wrong or we have, and someone along the line has done that wrong. But he is definitely part of that team, and as you say, it is a case of fighting it out now. I'm not sure how they're going to decide, as you say.
Oh, this is the thing now, because if of course our Dutch driver that's splitting up the Brits, of course, Brit 1 and Brit P3, the Dutch driver in there, but you know how, you know what I have to say to deep down inside, how many times has Max Verstappen won Formula 1 of late, right? So the Dutch are dominating motorsports. Are these two British drivers of Colin Craven and Mark going to do anything about this Dutch man? I mean, this is when it comes down to nationality pride, doesn't it? Or am I just building this whole storyline up with 3 to go?
Well, I'm not sure. I think it's going to be every man for themselves here in a few moments' time. The thing I'm really interested in actually here is what Daniel Setsley does. Now, does he decide to push one or the other? Does he just say, right, on the last lap, I'm just going to pull high and I'm not going to bump draft either of you, because that would be showing some sort of bias towards either of my teammates, and honestly it doesn't really matter to me which one wins.
England.
Maybe you help his compatriot. It's a very interesting situation what he does here.
I would do it for King and Country, my friend. Here it is. He's got to do something because he's got the Dutch driver in there. I'm sorry. The Dutch driver that I'm seeing my telemetry at the moment says Platinum Racing Team. That's David van der Waals, if I can pronounce that one correctly. Sorry, I didn't live in Amsterdam. Can't pronounce the Dutch that well. But then again, you're surrounded by a couple of Brits, including one up in the commentary box right now, and a convict British person that was sent to the convict colony of Australia's. We won't get into that one. 2 to go!
Yeah, 1.5 now as we get round the back straight for the penultimate time. Now, if we get to the white flag, a caution will end the race. So that's worth bearing in mind that we might well get through this caution-free. All 45 laps here of round 5 in the JPB Nascar Super Series could be settled under green, as we've got 2 to go on the clock currently. Can we get to the white flag without a caution? It looks like we're going to, and we're going to see the white flag here at Talladega. 2.6 miles, and Daniel Setsley does decide. I'm not helping either of you here. let's not show any bias to either of my teammates. I'm going to let you two fight it out on your own. He'll lose the draft and finish 14th. Now, who's it going to be out of Conor Craven and David van der Waals? There is lap traffic ahead of Jan Stitchbury and Pat Seaborn, who are both involved in leading battles at times, of course. I don't think we're quite going to get there in terms of catching quite in time, as David van der Waals pulls up high. He decides to forego the slipstream and go for the run off the turn. Is he waiting for this final moment off of turn 4 to go for the win, maybe? Here we go. He's in the slipstream. He's going for the win. He's going to use the fact that the start-finish line is a little bit later on in the course, of course. He goes alongside now of Conor Craven.
He got him!
He got to the line, and he steals it from his teammate. David van der Waals wins on debut in the JPB NASCAR Super Series in a photo finish at Talladega.
Wow, wow, wow. And the Dutch have done it again. Oh, you must be very upset as British people at the moment, seeing another Dutch driver getting it done over again. That almost reminds me of Max Verstappen versus Lewis Hamilton in the final lap. There it is, my friends. David has done the job.
He has. David van der Waals wins at Talladega. What a fantastic job on debut. And Thomas kept telling us after the race, by the way, that they were debating who Daniel Sedgley was going to push to win, but he decided neither. I think he made the right decision, to be honest with you. If you want to be a team player, often you've got to push your teammates, but in that situation, you would only going to be pushing your teammates to beat the other, and that's not what you want to create. He pulled out the way. He finished an honourable 14th, but it was David van der Waals who waited perfectly, actually. He didn't go for a move immediately at turn 1 and go all guns blazing. He was calm, considered, waited for the moment to strike, and he struck so well when he did.
He did at the moment. He's not going to do a burnout. Yes, he will at the moment. Is this look at this synchronized burnouts? Over to you, my friend.
And someone else joining. I think that's Bjorklund, isn't it? Who joins them on the podium. Oh, has he beached himself? No, he's fine. He can use gravity there to get himself off the apron. But the synchronisation has gone a little bit down the pan, but I can appreciate the number of burnouts and donuts we've seen here today. No complaints from us about that at all. David van der Waals, the winner here at Talladega. What a day for Olympus Esports on their debut in the JPB NASCAR Super Series. They take a 1-2. It's Conor Craven who ends up the bridesmaid with Kim-Andre Bjorklund 5 seconds behind, caught behind in that pit stop phase. They could never close the gap enough, even if they were closing the entirety of the rest of the race. Biggles and Lear finished inside the top 5 along with Sergio De La Cruz, who becomes second place in the championship now, and the closest rival to Jan Stitchbury. It's Paul Clark who led for some of that, finishes 6th, stayed out 1 lap too long in that one, unfortunately, for him. Tim Perry lost the draft of the group ahead, and so finishes 7th. Had Chorbo and Mel and Stuart Pearson. Mark Guerrero was on his own at the finish, actually, but he picks up a top 10. Paul LeMay spun on the entry to pit lane and so ended up with Jan Stitchbury and Pat Seaborn. Daniel Sedgley was the first driver 1 lap down, watched his teammates take the glory. Kyle Leo Ivanov finished 15th ahead of Michael LeMay, who was 2 laps down at the end of that one. Well, what a pleasure that was to watch and commentate on. A fantastic race, 45 laps of clean racing, showing NASCAR that you don't need loads of cautions for great racing. That was thoroughly enjoyable for 45 laps.
You called that one perfectly. One little ad break and we'll get those drivers that will have somebody have a bit of a chin wagon too. That was fantastic. Don't go anywhere.
To Talladega, where we will have some post-race reaction and some post-race interviews from a fantastic race here tonight for 45 laps. David van der Waals is the first of them, who I believe can join us now. Welcome in, David. Good to have you with us after an enthralling race, I've got to say. You were there with your teammates at the front of the field. Your strategy paid off in the end as well. There were no cautions throughout the entirety of the race, but there's only one place to start. Tell us firstly about that last lap and what you saw from your perspective.
We had a healthy discussion in our team about who was getting the win and who was getting the push from Dan. Turned out there was no winner in that discussion, so Dan just dropped off and let us play. And I decided to drop back off of 4 or off of 3. I don't really quite know what the numbering is, but just had enough to get onto the rear quarter panel and side draft my way past, really.
I mean, it was fantastic last lap to watch. I mean, you mentioned there that you were chatting to your teammates throughout the race. What was the chatting about in terms of actual strategy? Because you were the first guys to come in, and it made all the difference in that race. Whose idea was that?
So as a collective talk the entire way through, we're holding a bit back at the start of the race with the 3 of us trying to save fuel, see if we can make it to the end without pitting. And then once we realized that we couldn't, soon the conversation started about pitting with the 3 of us and just outrunning everyone. And massive props to the people behind the scenes. We have Charles, we had TC there, we had Victor there, we had everyone there really talking with us to just help us out. So it was a fast decision in the end.
This, of course, was meant to be the final round of the series, but because of the rather long implementation of rain and the long updates that we had a couple of weeks ago, we've still got one round to go at Indianapolis. So we're going to be seeing your team back again for one final time in this series?
Yes, and this time I will have the proper team name as well.
We noticed that, yeah. Made us doubt that you were actually on Olympus, but we presumed with the livery that that you're there with them. So thanks for clarifying that one as well. That's okay. Thanks very much for coming to chat to us.
I got one question for you, Dan.
Congratulations.
David, sorry. Not Dan.
Yeah.
Good on you beating the Brits and everybody else again. It seems the Dutch are just the ones that are on the top step of motorsports of late, right?
Yeah, you could say. I mean, this was a lot more exciting than F1, for example. But, I wish they had that type of racing until the last lap day. That would be a lot more fun to watch.
Good on you, my friend. The British don't like being beat by the Dutch. No, the Norwegians or anybody else. But I'm fine with it. Good on you, my friend. Congratulations. 32 machine on top.
Congratulations. Thanks very much to David van der Waals for chatting to us tonight. Great to hear from him, and great to hear that Olympus Esports will be back in Indianapolis as well, which we're looking forward to. Biggles, will be a good final round of the series, and good to have them there too. While we've been chatting to him, we've also got Tim Perry joining us now as well. Welcome, Tim. Good to have you with us. 7th place for you today in the field. Now, I did notice, I can't tell you what happened, so I'm hoping you'll be able to. You were in the second group initially on the exit of the pit stop phase there, and you were running with them, but you finished in the third group somehow. We didn't see quite how that happened. What happened in the final stint to you?
Yeah, so basically, I made a really good pit stop, came out really well. Patrick Seaborn came out with me as well. And as we've exited, he's basically just dipped his tyre over the yellow line on pit exit. So then he basically ended up putting in and to serve a penalty, and I ended up completely on my own. So yeah, I got absolutely swallowed up by the second group, and then and as they came past me, I couldn't even hold on to their draft. They just did a really good push at that time, and I just couldn't hold on to them. So yeah, I ended up stranded again, and then ended up having to fight in the third group for 7th place. So yeah, a bit gutted by that.
Yeah, that sounds like a catalogue of unfortunate events for you, unfortunately, on that occasion. I mean, this race is notably different to the one we had at Daytona. It feels like an age ago when we started this season now, doesn't it, really? But it's worth comparing, because they're the 2 super speedway races that we've had in this Super Series, and we're not done yet, of course, but this is the last drafting track, if you like, in this respect. And this race had no cautions, whereas Daytona had quite a few, especially in the second half of the race with green, white, checkered attempts and all that kind of thing. Which do you prefer as a driver? Is it nice to have a clean and green race like this one, or is it worse because you increase the likelihood dramatically if you're getting stuck on your own like you did today.
I mean, yeah, I absolutely love it when it goes green. To be honest, it's absolutely brilliant. You just think it just adds so much more strategy to it. Yes, sometimes it can be good on pit stops. When there's lots of yellow flags, it can add a bit of strategy. But I prefer the long green runs, and obviously having the green flag pit stops are brilliant as well. Like having to actually do a proper pit entry and exit, and then deciding if you want to risk, how much fuel you want to risk and stuff like that. That's always good. Whereas with the yellow flags, it tends to be a bit more straightforward.
Absolutely. What's your thoughts on Indianapolis just quickly before we let you go, before the final round of the series?
Yeah, it should be good. It should suit me. I'm more of a road racer, and Pocono was good for me. So I think Indianapolis should be good as well. Obviously, season finale, so hopefully everyone behaves. But sometimes you do get that last race kind of silliness coming out. So I guess we'll see. But it should make for a good broadcast.
Well, we certainly hope so. Tim, thanks for chatting to us. Good to hear from you, and congratulations on another top 10 in the series tonight.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Thanks very much. Tim Perry, 7th place today at Talladega in round 5 of the JPB Nascar Super Series. That looks like it's it then, Biggles, for driver interviews. Final thoughts from us to come, of course. As I said to Tim just there, such a different race to Daytona, but an equally enjoyable one, I've got to say. Maybe even more of an enjoyable one, and a remarkably close finish at the end too. Strategy,
wasn't it, for the Olympus esports team, even though that it does say that David doesn't have the Olympus esports on the Platinum Racing team, but they were in the same liveries. And that was an interesting call, was it not? They went in earlier. They boxed on lap 25, I believe it was, when the rest of the drivers had to box later because they weren't playing on that caution. And they stuck together. They built each other a transportation, working as a team. Bingo, got the job done when the Sim Racing Norway team and Sergio Lacruz and so forth that were leading the race had to back off. Bingo, job done. That's what you call teamwork.
Yeah, I've seen it done before, but it doesn't happen very often, and you've got to be very quick as a team. So congratulations to Olympus Esports for doing that. Do ignore our graphics slightly, David van der Vels. I think he admitted there to putting the wrong team in. He is part of Olympus Esports, who have taken a 1-2 here tonight. Just a quick word on the championship before we go as well. Jan Stichbury is still the leader and has almost settled the title. Somewhat depends on how many... That's how it stood going into today, by the way. The important gap is to De La Cruz, because Wenzel and Tuller weren't here today. It was 37 going into today. De La Cruz gained 7, and so it's back at 30 now, which means for Jan Stichbury, he will need to finish in something like 26th, 27th position, something like that, to take the title next week. That's pre-drop rounds, by the way, so it could even be an easier equation than that. And if we get less than that number, then he will only have to complete a certain amount of laps to be classified, and then he will be crowned champion, possibly midway through the race at Indianapolis. We believe, by the way, although I've had no official confirmation of this, that it will be in another couple of weeks for the final round of the JPB NASCAR Super Series. So stay tuned to the socials and the Discord for actual confirmation, but we believe it'll be in a couple of weeks' time before we finish off our season. Big thanks to everyone who's tuned in tonight and chatted along with us as well. Hope you've enjoyed this race. It's been thoroughly enjoyable to bring it to you. I've been Ewan O'Leary alongside Dean Biggles here, and until we see you in a couple of weeks' time from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the final time in the JPB NASCAR Super Series this season, it's goodbye for now.